Larry Bird's Greatest Stories, Part 3.
I want to avoid the phrase trash talker, but he did do some of that too.
The X-Man, he didn't play, he had a sore knee, but my point to you is this, Larry gave me 50 recordings.
Everybody shooting the shit. Everybody rocking. Hey Larry, you ain't hit a jumper since 84.
And Larry looked at me and then he looked at Mark and said, Mark, I'm going to go down, I'm going to come off the screen. I'm going to catch it right there, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to shoot it in the rookie's face, and then I'm going to run down the court.
And he runs down to the post and posts me up. And boom, boom, Scotty said, it's going to be a long night, sir.
One dribble going right, spin, shot, bucket.
And then he did.
He did it.
Like he did.
There was nothing I could do about it.
I want to avoid the phrase trash talker, but he did do some of that too. What did he say on the court when you guys were having your battles?
Larry was not the one to just talk a lot of trash, but things he would say to you would stick there. I mean, if it was just a simple scoop on where you out this play or face, or just the way he said things, it made it very hard. Face. But it's scored 2 points and it's in your face. You know, he didn't have to go the extra 2 words in your. He just said face, and you knew he meant business. At times, especially, I had my differences with Chuck Person, who was a very lively talker on the floor. He gets you into that mode of talking a little bit more.
I was going to say, you reminded me of a story when I was talking about Chuck Person, that Bird apparently was playing one-on-one and just torching him one night. I think he had 35, and as he's shooting the ball, he says to Person,
I'm the best player to ever come from Indiana.
I'm the greatest player ever out of Indiana.
Shot a three-pointer in his face, all net.
And he says that right to Person as he's shooting, and of course the shot goes in.
One thing Larry said to me, he never did any sugar honey iced tea talking. He just kind of like played. But this one time he said, came down and I'm playing him. This is 1987. I'm playing for the champions. He goes, I'm about to wear your ass out. So I'm locked in on it now, and I'm looking at the basket behind me, and I'm here, and Robert Parrish comes down and sets a pick. And I was hard to set a pick on, so I knew I was going to get through it. But Larry takes me in, he comes off this pick, he comes off right about the elbow. Dennis Johnson threw him the basketball, and Green steps up. So Larry catches the ball, and I'm right behind him. He catches the ball, he goes up, I said, I'm going to smack this shit. He goes up. Green is there, my hands are there, and I'm like this. I don't know how this guy got the ball while up there. He throws the Paris for a pick and roll play. Check this ball slams up, Boston goes up, fans going crazy. He goes, I told you. And to me, that might seem like something simple, but that's the greatness of a great player in Larry Bird. And from that point forward, we never talked. He never said anything else, but it was just the fact that he wore my ass out on that play. So that's the thing I respected a lot about him. Now, Larry could score with or without the basketball. That kind of player there, that's the one he likes to see, like to play.
Is there any story that just that you forgot about, that you found notes?
Oh yeah, I have little notes and stuff. So again, Larry Bird, he could hold all these things in his head during the game. So he'd have a shooting drill, the old Boston Celtics.
That was routine at the Garden. We'd about 4:30 in the afternoon. I was the middle of the guy. I said it earlier. The Garden would be dark Garden.
Come out with a different guy and just do the perimeter, shoot for half hour. All you heard was swishing.
See a little bit of light by that court. The Clipping guy was Joe Picciotto. Larry's coming out. He brought him in the enemy. That's it. And love this guy, the Clipping guy. And Larry drew the perimeter. And I just set up in my Stone Age computer quarter bubble on the sideline right next to the bench when they used to let us sit in those seats. The lowly writers had those seats next to the bench.
I'd get there early, plug in my Stone Age computer right next to the bench. He'd come over, he called me Scoop. He'd say, Scoop, what are you working on? I'm like, I'm doing an early story.
And Larry, he liked to break chops. He'd come over, and if he missed a shot during that thing, he'd say that the Bull Gang set up the rims, something wrong with the rim. Otherwise that would have gone in. And he'd come over and he'd say, "What are you working on, Scoop?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm doing an early edition newspaper story about your free throw streak." He was coming up on Calvin Murphy's 88 consecutive free throws.
You were approximating the NBA record for consecutive free throws, Calvin Murphy at 88. So don't miss one tonight or I'll look bad in the paper.
It's going to look stupid if they open it up tomorrow morning and you miss when I'm writing about the streak. This is how it works. Sure enough, first half, he goes to the line for 2, and the foul line is lined up right where we're sitting. If he looks over,
he's at the line. He makes the first.
He looks over and winks at me.
He looks over and winks at me before he makes the second. I mean, guys don't do that today.
But he was always thinking about these things. It's like paying off a bet in the middle of the game. He's doing 2 things at once.
First made it to the NBA. Who was the first person to bust your ass?
Man, I'm gonna keep this real with y'all, man. My ass got busted real early, man. I came into the league, man. I was a playing kid. You know how some of them vets, man, they play you to the team, man. I got played down in Boston one night. We was playing Boston Celtics. So the great Larry Bird, I didn't really know much. I'm from Indiana. Larry's from Indiana. I knew about the history of Larry, but I didn't realize how he really got down. When we got to Boston that morning, I knew something wasn't right. I saw an X-Man. He was limping around the court a little bit like he was sore. I figured he'd be all right.
David McDaniel.
I figured he'd be all right by the time. I go to the game on the early bus. I get there. They come out on the court. They say, "Hey, Sean, you're starting tonight against Larry." And I was like, "Okay, I'm all for it, though." So he gave me 50 3 quarters.
Oh my! he was hitting everything,
and he talked to me the whole entire game.
What did he say?
Well, first of all, he asked me to jump ball. He said, "You got broke all my records in high school, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." He said, "I got you tonight." So every shot he was calling, at the defensive end, he would tell me, he'd be like, "When I get down to the other end, I'm gonna pump fake you, get a hand one on you, look at you, for flags." That's how cold Larry worked.
And that's the legend. Like, people say that he was one of the dirtiest trash talkers, one of the best trash talkers. Like the one game he played, he told you don't shoot all left hand buckets on you. So he really talked like that.
Larry told all of us and the media, he said, "Tomorrow night's the last game of the trip. I'm going to play this one left-handed."
I remember because I was there, and it was at a time when McHale was still coming off the bench, and so he scored the first 8 points of the game left-handed, and Jerome Kersey was guarding him at the time, and I remember this because we had a great trash-talking team. I mean, we had ML Carr, we had McHale, we had Bird, we had, Ainge was a yacker. I mean, we had guys with great creativity with that, and I'll never forget it. McHale yelled out, "Hey, Jerome, wait till you start shooting right-handed."
Being from the streets, man, I was to the point of like, look, I'm gonna foul him so hard that he's basically gonna take his will. He started shooting the ball with his left hand, man. I was trying to foul his right arm. He was shooting with his left hand, making it off on me, looking at me, still slapping me on my butt and everything, telling me everything.
Now see, that's something that he didn't hit you. He didn't hit you on the butt. Now I got to fight you.
And then Larry, he actually invited me to his house that summer after the game, man. He told me, he said, "That's the best defense I've seen so far. It's the best effort." I get
you
I
still compete.
50 and 3 quarters, but that was the best effort I've seen in a long time.
You had to guard Larry. What was that like?
The worst thing was when you guys were in pick and rolls because Kevin or you or Chief came up and it was a quick pick and roll with a slip. So when I first came over my rookie year, I remember you were talking about '86. Remember the game my rookie year, Mark Aguirre didn't want to play against the Boston Celtics for whatever reason.
Bring it up court to Larry Bird from 3. Yes! Larry Bird! A 3-point shot with 4 seconds to go, and the Celtics lead by 1.
Yeah, trade pass. I was playing at that point the third small forward, and Larry gave us 50.
Try again, he's short, and Larry Bird, enviable pass right there. Easting finally misses, but Bird does the long arms. Bird gets a three-point field goal shooters. Is left. Larry Bird. And to go. Ellis goes. Larry Bird with the left hand. Bird, three-pointer. Count it, game for Boston. Larry Bird only needs 5-4 with 12 seconds. Bird, three-pointer. Count it.
Oh, well, next year, for whatever reason, somebody else didn't play again. I was starting and we go, okay, do you want Bird or McHale? Oh, great. And I was going, isn't Walton starting?
I was listening to Jamal Mashburn on a podcast the other day, and he was talking about when the college players were practicing against the Dream Team. Have you heard the story that he was telling?
This was the legendary game where the college guys came in and Chuck Daly let y'all tear their ass up, and as soon as y'all started getting back, you ended it, right?
Chuck Daly scheduled a scrimmage against a select group of college players.
So funny. So when we got an invitation, it was 8 of us. It was myself, Bobby Hurley, Allen Houston, Chris Webber, Rodney Rogers, Eric Montroe.
Shout out Rodney Rogers.
And Grant Hill was on that squad.
I think it's going to be a good match. No advantage on either side.
For the college players, a chance to see how they match up against the world best.
So we get to La Jolla, San Diego, and we check into the Marriott. We go up to our floor, and we walk into the corridor, and we see this tall white guy coming down the hallway. He look like Larry Bird. So Larry Bird coming down the hallway, me and Chris Webber, and Larry Bird, you don't realize how big Larry Bird is until you stand there. Larry Bird. Larry Bird legit 6'10".
Real talk. When I first started getting him when he was coaching the place, I was like, damn.
So he walked by us. He says, y'all those college guys? And we was like, yeah, we college guys.
And then he said, get some sleep, young fellas.
And he looked at us and he said, get some fucking rest. It's going to be a long week. And walked off. We was like, what the hell?
That's how they got us.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. You know, like, all right, what's going on here?
I wanted to say what's up. And he just like, dang.
Yeah. So the next morning, we get up and we go to practice, and Roy Williams is our coach, but we only got. So we're like, how are we practicing, and what are we practicing for? So we spent, I want to say, an hour doing the 3-man weave, and I'm like, what's going on here? Then they bus us to another location where the Dream Team is practicing, and these about 400 people standing outside. Waiting for the Dream Team to come out. They take us up to a top floor, and the Dream Team is practicing. They're finishing up their practice. And then they say, all right, get loose and stretch out. Okay, we playing? They're like, yeah, we're gonna play next. So we get out the gates, like the first 15 minutes, we kicking their ass. we running them all out. Bobby Hurley in the lane, killing John Stockton.
Bobby Hurley was dominant.
So they stopped the game.
These young kids, they were killing them.
I remember Chuck saying as soon as the game ended, we were getting ready to let media in, it was race the scoreboard.
And turn off the score. I think we were up like 72-66 or something, 64, something like that. They just stopped the game. So we like, all right, this is halftime or some shit? They like, nah, the press coming in.
Media comes in, scores, if not hundreds. They can sense something. You can feel the tension, or you feel something in the air.
Well, some of these college players we've just got through playing against probably should be on this team, but they'll get their chance.
So that's when the thing came out that Chuck Daly let us win. Because they were like, they didn't want to hold a complete game because they knew it was going to be downhill from there. Because we were trying to prove that we could represent the country. So we lit their ass up. And then something happened. We're sitting there, and we get back to the hotel. Rodney Rogers says something to, it's a group of them. It's Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, everybody's shooting the shit.
And Rodney Rogers is talking smack to Larry Bird.
Magic heard that shit. And we ain't think none of it.
And Rodney Rogers all of a sudden tugs on Superman's cape. What happened after that?
And here goes Rodney Rogers. He's talking this stuff that we've been talking in our other room. You know, our other room, we talking junk. Like, yeah, Magic didn't know what to do. And he goes to Bird right in his face. He says something like,
"Hey, Larry, you ain't hit a jumper since '84.
They made a jump shot since the 80s or 80s. One of the years they probably won a championship.
84.
There you go.
And I never seen this, and this one I was like, this is a different breed. Magic Johnson fed Larry Bird the ball probably about 8 times in a row down court. Larry Bird got the ball on Rodney Rogers, and every time he was about to make a move, he told him what he was going to do.
Bird, I remember one time coming to the corner, he pump fakes and Rodney Rogers goes by. He says, "Welcome to the parachute club." He threw in his face. And, you know, after, I don't know if it was Magic or someone said something like, you know, that kind of reminds you of '84 a little bit, don't it?
One dribble, pull up, going left, off glass. One dribble, going right, spin, shot, bucket. He scored 9 times or 8 times in a row, left the court to go lay down because he couldn't sit on a bench. He had to lay down because of his back. And said, "Young fella, look like '84, huh?"
Last time he made
it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow.
It was funny, the first time that I played in my rookie year, I guarded Larry Bird, and it took me about 10 minutes to realize I should be probably guarding him instead of staring at him. You know? And he came down, it was funny, he came down one time, and Mark West was the center on our team, and Larry looked at me, and then he looked at Mark and said, "Mark, I'm going to go down, I'm going to come off the screen. I'm going to come off the screen, I'm going to catch it right there, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to shoot it in the rookie's face, and then I'm going to run down the court." And that's exactly what he did. And I'm sitting there, that just happened.
But did he talk to you, or you weren't good enough?
Through me. He never addressed me.
I love that.
Yeah,
because you're a rookie.
He wouldn't talk.
I could imagine
he had no time for me. He just talked right through me to Mark West and told me he's going, like I wasn't even there.
And did Mark West
Mark was like, all right,
okay, yeah, all right.
You probably would.
And then he did.
He did it.
But
there was nothing I could do about it.
I get a charge when I tell somebody on the opposing team that I'm going to hit the last second shot and then do it. That's what it's all about.
Larry's open. 1, 3. Yeah!
I remember the Portland game. It was, I think it was Super Bowl Sunday. They were playing Portland Trail Blazers. He had like 52 points or something like that. We were down 3. His remarkable, crazy 3-point shot. He was leaning. And I was like, nobody's going to hit the shot.
DJ again to make the inbound pass. They're double teaming Bird. Larry, fake, fall away. Hits it! All right!
He's leaning, falling, this is 3-point. Like, this guy's amazing.
I was a Celtic fan growing up. And I'm thinking I'm going to be a Celtic, you know. And then, you know, they pick Lynn Bias, and I got to go and play against Larry and those guys. It's something I've watched my whole life. I turn around and Larry goes, "What's up, Sal? What's up, Al?" He goes, "You made it." "Yeah, man." He goes, "Y'all not double teaming?" I said, "Nah, it's me on you." He goes, "For real?" I go, "Yeah." Yo, mouse in the house, mouse in the house. And he runs down to the post and posts me up. And boom, boom, Scotty said, "It'll be a long night, Sal."
And Larry with a long jump shot.
You mentioned, you talked about Larry Bird, and there was that one moment where I'm not sure if Isaiah lost his mind or it was just the truth, and Dennis Rodman said, Larry Bird's just another white boy. He's a good player, but he's a, you know, it's basically because he's white.
I think it was 86, 87. So we were playing Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
So they gave me the task of guarding Larry Bird. Guarding Larry Bird, I'm like this 25-year-old rookie in the league. They said, you have to guard him. I'm like, so that was my whole job to guard the Celtics guy on the other team. So, so I'm guarding him. And every time I turn my head, he's over there in the 3-point line. He said, I'm over here, Rook. I'm like, I got to go out there and run out there like a dumbass. So let's go out there, try to contest it. They hit the 3. I'm like, okay, that's this. So that's like game 6 in Boston. So I made the most wrong decision as a coach to make.
Pistons had lost to the Celtics in 7 games in the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals. And in Detroit's locker room afterwards, the questions were about the superstar who dominated them again. And then things got complicated.
It starts because unsophisticated Dennis Rodman was asked about Larry Bird. And let's be real, probably the first time in Dennis Rodman's life that the right guy tuned in. That's God in the NBA.
At that time, I didn't know anybody but because they used to do the process back then. So after the game, I said, asking the questions, how do you think? What do you think about Larry Bird?
And I said, if Larry was a black guy, he'd just be a regular old basketball player. And I didn't realize what I said,
The funny thing about it is just the fact that, Rodman was in his feelings. At that time, Warren was in his feelings. It was after a game. And, Isaiah took the heat on him. Yeah. And that's the thing about being a captain of your team. You're going to take the heat. You're going to make sure that you protect your players.
I know what I was saying, but I was so young and stupid. I said, if he was black, he'd be just an average basketball player.
Yeah, you got a lot of flack for that.
Oh, yeah.
You got a
like it was just, I just said that. That's actually what I said back then.
Someone ran over with that comment and asked Isaiah Thomas, your teammate, said something. Do you agree with it?
And Isaiah did a great job of protecting him. It wasn't the fact that it was any disrespect to Larry Bird and his ability. It was just the fact that, he's a player. We didn't want to look at color. So the thing is, he's a good player. Remember you said here's the great white hope. But it was just the fact that when you look at it, like, that motherfucker's bad as hell. You go like, you white, you can play.
And it was more like, I'm in Boston. But I'm in Boston. And Boston. But you know what was so cool about our team? That I still came to my defense. He took all that heat from me. He said, Dennis, just get in your car and drive back to Oklahoma.
Exceptional talent, but I'd have to agree with Rodman. If he was black, he'd be just another good guy.
Isaiah clearly had the sophistication, picked the wrong white guy to make his point. Because Larry was the baddest boy on the planet.
With that being said, Isaiah took the heat for that because all of a sudden it's like Isaiah's gonna protect us, by all means necessary. It's like, okay, this is Larry Bird. It's like he's special. He's special. He's good. I mean, what else can you say?
Just walking in this room and seeing everybody, it must have touched a lot of people, and that's why we're here. We're trying to cover up for each other.
Isaiah, tell me about the laugh. Now, is that a sarcastic laugh, or is that a laugh of someone who's saying, you know exactly what I mean?
No, it's a very sarcastic laugh. I think anybody who knows me will.
Do you regret the comment?
I never made the comment. I regret
being smart enough to never repeat someone else's fault.
The comments' effect on Isaiah and his image was undeniable. But for the team, the impact was totally different.
That was a turning point. Isaiah really came to our rescue. That right there was a telling moment for me and for the team that we'll do anything for each other.
But those times were different then. Those times were different. It's a different era these days. But my career just escalated from that point on. From that point on, I learned. And the more I learn, the more I respect everything in life.
Let's talk about Larry the Legend.
Uh-oh.
The resume is long,
Yeah.
but he's really known for two things mostly: shooting and talking trash on the court.
Yeah.
Which one bothered you the most?
His shooting. I mean, his shot was just so perfect, and not only was it perfect, my mother-in-law nicknamed his jump shot Silent Death because when he shot it, the ball just rolled in the air, and it was almost like it was playing a song. The way it was just moving in the air, and then it would just swish through. I mean, his shot was just so, and he was just, as a competitor, I mean, he was a killer. I mean, just a straight killer. And again, you've heard me mention and talk about the Celtics a lot. They taught us a lot of great lessons. He definitely talked a lot of trash. But at the same time, he was backing it up. And during that period of time, all of us in the summer, I don't know if there was an NBA player who didn't try to shoot or imitate Larry Bird's shot in some way, shape, or form because it was so pretty and it was just so, he was great.
You told me a story about calling Larry the day after a championship. The day after. And what was he doing?
For me, it was a unique experience. First of all, play with him, but after we won in '84, we went out, go after the game, you go eat dinner and do things like, people do. But we get ready, so I call Larry the next day, and I call over and ask Dinah. I said, Dinah, where's Larry? The very next day after we won in '84, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bird is out running, trying to get the championship, the next NBA championship. That's the kind of dedication that Larry Bird had.
Go ahead.
That's probably true. But I probably felt so bad when I got up, I had to do something to start feeling better.